Have you ever noticed the loudest person in the room rarely wins the argument? The one who truly wins is often the one who says the least. Today, I want to speak to you about a power so subtle, so misunderstood that if you truly master it, it can transform your relationships, your confidence, and even your destiny. Stay with me till the end because the last lessons will truly change your perspective. We live in a world that celebrates noise. Social media rewards opinions. News channels reward shouting. Relationships break because no one wants to pause. And maybe you felt this. You wanted to prove your point. You wanted to be understood. You wanted to win. But after the argument ended, even if you won, something inside you felt heavy. Why? Because sometimes winning the argument means losing the connection. Today, we are not just talking about staying quiet. We are talking about mastering silence, not as weakness, but as strength. And I want to take you through 7 lessons, 7 inner shifts, 7 steps that can help you win not just arguments, but respect, peace, and power. Let's begin. Most of us were never taught that silence is strength. We were taught that if someone says something wrong about you, you must correct them. If someone insults you, you must defend yourself. If someone misunderstands you, you must explain immediately. We grew up believing that the loudest voice carries the greatest authority, but life has a gentle way of proving otherwise. Think about the last time someone criticized you unfairly. Maybe it was at work, maybe it was at home, maybe it was in a comment section online. What happened inside you? Your heart rate increased. Your mind started preparing arguments. You replayed past conversations. You gathered evidence. You were ready for battle. But here is the subtle truth. The moment you feel compelled to react instantly, you are no longer in control. Your emotions are. Silence in that moment is not weakness, it is discipline. There is a powerful difference between having nothing to say and choosing not to say it. The first comes from incapability. The second comes from maturity. I remember meeting a gentleman who managed a large team. He told me earlier, whenever someone challenged my decision in meetings, I would immediately shut them down. I believed leadership meant always being right, but over time he noticed something. His team stopped sharing ideas. Meetings became tense. People agreed outwardly but resisted internally. One day, instead of defending his idea, he simply paused and said, "Tell me more." That silence changed the room. The person speaking relaxed. Others joined in. New ideas emerged. And he realized something beautiful. Silence did not reduce his authority. It increased it. Why? Because control is magnetic. When you are silent in the face of provocation, you communicate something powerful without words. I am not threatened. The ego screams to be heard. The wise mind observes. Imagine a lake. When stones are thrown into it, the surface ripples. But if the lake is deep, it regains stillness quickly. Shallow waters stay disturbed longer. Deep waters absorb. The depth of your character is revealed by how quickly you return to calm. And let me tell you something very honest. People will test you, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. They will question your choices. They will doubt your intentions. They will project their insecurities onto you. If you respond to every comment, you will spend your life in arguments. But if you learn to respond selectively, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. Silence also allows truth to reveal itself. When someone speaks from anger, they often expose more about themselves than about you. If you interrupt their self-revelation. If you stay quiet, they eventually hear their own exaggerations. Have you noticed how awkward, prolonged silence feels in arguments? Most people rush to fill it, and in doing so, they reveal their real motivations. The one who can tolerate silence without discomfort holds the advantage. But this is not about manipulation, it is about mastery. When you choose silence, you are saying, "My peace is more valuable than proving a point." Ask yourself, how many arguments have actually improved your life and how many have simply drained your energy? The truth is, most conflicts are fueled by two fragile egos trying to protect an image, and silence gently dissolves that competition. Now, I am not suggesting you suppress your truth. Suppression is not strength. Silence becomes powerful only when it is conscious. When you know you could speak, but you decide that this moment requires patience, not performance. There will be times to speak firmly. There will be times to clarify. But those moments will be more effective when they come from calmness, not compulsion. Here is a simple reflection you can carry with you. Before responding, ask yourself, am I speaking to protect my ego or to protect the relationship? That one question can transform your conversations. Silence also builds inner confidence. When you are secure in who you are, you do not need constant validation. You do not need to win every verbal exchange to feel worthy. Confidence whispers, insecurity shouts, and over time, people begin to notice. They notice that you do not get easily provoked. They notice that you listen more than you interrupt. They notice that you do not fight for the last word, and slowly respect replaces resistance. The world may celebrate noise, but history remembers those who mastered composure. So the next time someone challenges you, pause. Take a breath. Feel your heartbeat slow down. Let the silence stretch just a little longer than feels comfortable. In that pause lies your power, because silence is not the absence of strength, it is strength under control. And this is only the beginning of our journey. Most people don't realize that reaction is a trap. Not every glance, not every word, not every criticism deserves an immediate response. Yet, from childhood, we are conditioned to react instantly, passionately, often aggressively. A sibling teases us, we snap back. A colleague challenges us, we counter immediately. A friend misunderstands us, we justify ourselves. Reaction feels nature, all because it is primal. But here's the subtle truth. Reaction is often surrender. When you react immediately, you give your emotional energy to the other person. You hand over the steering wheel of your mind. You allow their words, their tone, their behavior to dictate your inner state. You become a puppet to their impulses. And that, my dear friends, is a quiet tragedy. The person who throws a stone and expects a fight gains control the moment you hit back. That energy dictates your energy. I once spoke to a young man full of ambition but perpetually frustrated. He told me, whenever someone criticizes me at work, I explode. I argue, I defend, I prove I'm right. But at the end of the day, I feel drained. I don't win respect. I just feel tired. I asked him, have you ever tried pausing? He laughed nervously. Pausing? I don't have time to pause. I smiled and said, pausing is not losing. It is winning quietly. Here is what happens when you pause instead of react. Imagine someone pushes you. Your immediate instinct is to push back. Your muscles tense. Your mind races. Your ego screams, fight, prove them wrong, protect yourself. And in that moment, you are lost in the other person's storm. But if you take a breath, step back mentally, observe without judgment, something extraordinary occurs. The storm still exists, but you are no longer swept away. You are anchored. You are free. Emotional reactions have a cost. They exhaust your mind. They cloud your judgment. They distort truth. They make small problems enormous. A minor comment becomes a battlefield. A passing insult becomes a long-lasting resentment. The mind that reacts impulsively is like water boiling over a fire. It loses clarity, it loses direction. But the mind that observes, the mind that waits, is like water held in a deep cup, still, reflective, potent. Reactivity also harms relationships. People may respect someone who is sharp, but they admire someone who is steady. Consider a friend who always overreacts. Arguments escalate, words are forgotten, but wounds linger. Now consider the person who listens quietly, speaks calmly, and responds thoughtfully. The impact is profound. That person does not need to win to influence. Influence comes naturally through calm authority. You see, reaction is often ego in disguise. The ego wants to prove itself. It wants to assert dominance. It wants recognition. But reaction is almost always a public expenditure of private energy. It feels good momentarily, the rush of defending yourself, the sharpness of a rebuttal, but it leaves you depleted. Imagine spending your energy every day defending your image. How much of that energy could be invested in creation, in growth, in love, in joy? I remember a teacher telling me about a student who was always quick to anger. One day she gave him a simple instruction: when you feel like responding in anger, count to 10. Watch your breath. Let the words come later, if necessary. The boy scoffed but tried. After weeks, he noticed a strange phenomenon. People began listening to him more. Conversations flowed more smoothly. He felt less exhausted. His influence increased. Without changing his intelligence, without raising his voice, he gained more power than before. That is the paradox of emotional reaction. The less you react, the more control you gain. The less you give your energy to RNL provocations, the more power you reclaim for yourself. You become like a mountain. The wind, the rain, the storms may hit, but you stand firm. You are not controlling the storm. You are controlling yourself. Here is a practice you can carry with you when someone provokes you. Ask silently, do I need to respond immediately, or can I respond wisely? That tiny pause shifts everything. Your breathing slows, your mind clears, your ego loses urgency, and in that stillness your power reappears. The people who influence the world are not always the loudest or the quickest. They are the calmest. They are the ones who maintain composure in storms. They are the ones who allow others to exhaust themselves while they conserve their energy. They are the ones who win without fighting. Emotional reaction is the enemy of power. Observation, restraint, and conscious pause are its allies. The person who reacts loses control. The person who masters pause gains it. And that mastery is what separates temporary victories from lasting influence, fleeting pride from enduring respect, noise from true wisdom. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, pause. Don't react, observe, breathe. Let the storm rage while you remain anchored. That is not weakness, that is mastery. That is real power. Many of us believe that speaking is power. We think that if we say the right words, if we have the perfect comeback, if we convince everyone around us, we will gain respect, influence, or love. But life quietly teaches a different lesson. Listening often wins more than speaking. Think about your last conversation that truly mattered. Was it the one where you dominated the dialogue? Impressing everyone with your logic and clarity? Or was it the one where someone truly listened to you, nodded, understood, and reflected back your own thoughts in their presence? Most of us would say the latter. When someone listens, really listens, it changes everything. Suddenly, your words feel important, your ideas feel valued, your heart feels acknowledged. And that simple act of attention creates trust, respect, and connection. Listening is more than just keeping quiet while someone speaks. Many people confuse silence with listening, but true listening is an active art. It is about presence. It is about empathy. It is about stepping outside the walls of your own ego and entering the world of the person in front of you. When we truly listen, we are not preparing a rebuttal. We are not planning our argument. We are simply present, allowing their thoughts and emotions to unfold. And in doing so, we create a space where understanding can emerge. I remember a story of a young professional, frustrated with his manager's constant criticisms. Every meeting felt like a battlefield. Every comment felt personal. He would interrupt, defend, justify, and argue, leaving both him and his manager exhausted. One day, he tried a simple experiment. Instead of responding immediately, he listened. He asked questions. Can you help me understand what you mean? What is your expectation here? How would you approach this differently? The change was remarkable. His manager softened, tension reduced, solutions appeared naturally. By listening, he didn't just calm the room, he gained insight he would have never discovered in argument. Listening also exposes the truth. Often, when people speak from frustration, fear, or ego, their words reveal more than they intend. If we rush to respond, we interrupt the process. If we pause and listen, clarity emerges. The person arguing may reveal contradictions, fears, or misunderstandings that dissolve the tension by themselves. Silence in listening becomes a subtle form of influence. You don't have to push, persuade, or dominate. You simply allow understanding to unfold. Here is another secret of listening. It builds your emotional intelligence. Every time you truly listen, you practice patience, empathy, and observation. You notice tone, body language, subtle emotions, and the spaces between words. You'll learn what matters to people, what triggers them, what calms them, and this is a kind of power that speaking alone can never give you. The more you listen, the more intuitive you become. You start navigating conflicts before they arise, resolving tension before it escalates, and connecting deeply before the other person even realizes it. Listening also transforms arguments into collaboration. Most conflicts escalate because no one feels heard. People repeat themselves, grow frustrated, and raise their voices. But when someone listens, the escalation dissolves. The loudness of the room is replaced by the quiet of understanding. You do not need to win to influence. The very act of listening shifts the energy. People naturally soften, open up, and even question their own positions. They feel valued, and in that value, respect is born. Many of us have forgotten that speaking is easy, but listening is difficult. Speaking requires ego. Listening requires humility. Speaking demands performance. Listening demands patience. Speaking seeks validation. Listening offers space. And yet, the world so often rewards the loud and punishes the quiet, leaving us confused about what real strength truly is. I once attended a meeting where a heated debate was taking place. Everyone was speaking over each other, trying to assert their point, defending their egos. In the corner, one senior leader said almost nothing. He listened. When the room finally quieted, he spoke for 3 minutes. His words didn't need to convince, attack, or defend. They illuminated the solution. Everyone left the room inspired, not defeated. That is the subtle magic of listening. It prepares the stage for clarity and influence. The habit of listening extends beyond formal arguments. In personal relationships, it builds intimacy. In leadership, it builds trust. In friendships, it builds loyalty. Listening demonstrates that you value the other person, not just their words, but their being. It shows that you are secure enough to not dominate, confident enough to not interrupt, and wise enough to know that understanding comes before winning. So the next time you feel the urge to respond, immediately pause. Ask yourself, have I truly heard them? Do I understand their perspective? Even if you only ask questions, even if you don't speak at length, you begin to wield the most overlooked power in human interaction, the power of attentive presence. Listening is not passive, it is an active engagement with the world that builds connection, trust, clarity, and influence. It wins battles without fighting. It resolves arguments without raising voices. It transforms relationships and minds without effortful persuasion. And over time, those who are listening realize that they no longer need to speak to be heard. Their presence itself communicates wisdom, empathy, and authority. True mastery of silence is incomplete without listening. Speaking may change minds, listening changes hearts. And when hearts align, even the loudest argument becomes a bridge instead of a battlefield. Life has a way of testing us constantly. People, situations, circumstances, they all present tiny challenges, little irritations, and occasional storms. From the moment we wake up to the time we sleep, there is a constant stream of provocations, disagreements, and minor conflicts. And if we respond to every single one, we end up exhausted, bitter, and drained, carrying invisible burdens that weigh down our spirit. Yet most of us don't even realize how much energy we give away unnecessarily. We think every disagreement needs a response, every slight needs retaliation, every criticism demands correction. But this is not wisdom, this is habit. I once met a man who worked in a corporate office. He was brilliant, ambitious, and respected, but constantly frustrated. Every email from a colleague, every remark in a meeting, every delayed response from his team triggered a reaction. His mind would churn for hours, thinking about what to say, how to defend, how to correct, how to assert himself. One evening he realized something painfully simple. I spend more time preparing for conflicts than I do preparing for success. That was a turning point. He began asking himself before every irritation, does this really matter? Will it matter in a week, in a month, in a year? He discovered that most battles he fought were invisible, unimportant, and wasted energy. Think about it. How many times have we argued over trivial matters, only to realize later that the issue itself was insignificant? A traffic dispute, a misunderstood text message, a casual remark taken personally. In the moment it feels enormous. Our mind inflates it like a balloon. But days later the urgency fades and we wonder why we ever bothered. Every battle has a cost. Even if it is invisible, your calm, your patience, your energy, your peace. Choosing which battles to engage in is not weakness, it is strategy, it is maturity, it is self-respect. There is a beautiful story I love to share about a farmer in a village. Every day crows would eat his crops. At first he shouted at them, threw stones, tried to chase them away. He became angry and frustrated. Then an elder in the village told him, some things are not worth your energy. Protect what matters most and let the rest go. So the farmer focused only on the most valuable crops, building small barriers while ignoring the rest. Surprisingly, his life became more peaceful, his farm more productive, and his heart lighter. The lesson is clear. Not every battle needs to be fought. Some you win by stepping back, not stepping forward. Choosing your battles also preserves relationships. Most arguments escalate because people feel the need to defend trivial matters. But when we choose to let minor irritations slide, we maintain harmony. That doesn't mean becoming passive or submissive. It means prioritizing. Some arguments are worth engaging in because values, boundaries, or principles are at stake. Many are not, and insisting on winning them only weakens your energy and your connections. In our personal life, this principle is even more important. Parents, partners, friends, they will test your patience, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. Do you argue over every minor misstep, or do you decide which moments deserve your attention? Imagine a partner who forgets to take out the trash. In the moment, it may feel like a mountain, but is it really worth a heated argument? Or is it better to invest your energy in nurturing understanding, love, and growth? Choosing wisely saves not only your energy, but the relationship itself. The power of discernment here cannot be overstated. Life is not about avoiding conflict entirely. Conflict is inevitable. But the truly wise understand that every battle has a cost, and the most important battles are not fought to win arguments. They are fought to uphold dignity, values, and peace. The trivial fights, the ones born of ego, pride, impatience, or irritation, are distractions that drain your mind and heart. I often tell people, imagine life as a backpack. Every disagreement, every resentment, every argument is like a stone added to that pack. Carry too many, and you will collapse under the weight. Choose wisely which stones to pick up, and you will carry your life with strength and grace. Your energy is finite, your attention is precious. Guard it like a treasure. When we choose our battles, we also reclaim our time and focus. Energy wasted on inconsequential fights cannot be used to create, to grow, to love, or to serve. The world rewards those who focus on the essential, not those who exhaust themselves in minor skirmishes. The quiet, disciplined, selective approach wins in the long run. The reactive, impulsive approach may give temporary satisfaction, but leaves a trail of fatigue, frustration, and broken bridges. So here is a simple reflection to practice. Before reacting to irritation, before raising your voice, before defending your ego, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, in a month, in a year? Is this about truth or ego? Is this about values or irritation? If it is not essential, let it go. Walk away with dignity, respond selectively, protect your peace. The truth is, life is too short to fight every battle. Energy misused in trivial conflicts is energy stolen from your growth, your relationships, your joy, and your purpose. Those who master the art of selective engagement discover a quiet form of power that others can never easily understand. They conserve their energy, they maintain clarity, they preserve relationships, and they live with dignity. And here is the most profound secret. Walking away from the unnecessary argument does not make you small, it makes you wise, it makes you strong, it makes you free. Some victories are in silence, some wins are in restraint, some triumphs are in choosing where to invest your heart and mind. When you learn to choose your battles, you begin to live deliberately. You no longer react to every stone thrown, you no longer allow small irritations to control your day. You become like a river flowing smoothly around obstacles, conserving energy and moving steadily toward your destination. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every fight deserves your voice. Not every argument deserves your time. The moment you understand this, you reclaim your life. You create space for what matters most: growth, love, peace, and joy. There is a so BTL power in silence that most people overlook. It is not about avoiding conversation or hiding your thoughts. It is about cultivating a depth within yourself that becomes visible to the world, even when you say nothing. Silence, practiced consciously, strengthens character in ways that words never can. It builds resilience, earns respect, and shapes your presence in a room long before you speak. Think about people you admire. Often, the ones whose presence commands attention are not those who dominate conversations. They are not constantly asserting their opinions, proving their intelligence, or winning every argument. They are the ones who listen deeply, speak thoughtfully, and choose their moments carefully. Their silence is not emptiness, it is weight, it is authority, it is confidence, and it communicates more than words ever could. I remember a story about a teacher in a small school. She had a class full of energetic, talkative students. One new student was particularly disruptive, always talking, always trying to assert himself. The teacher did something remarkable. She did not scold him. She did not argue. She simply observed, remained calm, and addressed him only when necessary. Over time, the student's behavior changed. He began noticing the teacher's composed demeanor. He realized that words alone could not disturb her calm. Slowly, he adjusted. The lesson was clear. Calm, silent strength transforms people without confrontation. Silence also cultivates self-control. Every time you resist the urge to react immediately, to interrupt or to prove a point, you are exercising your character muscles. These are the same muscles that allow you to navigate life's large challenges, stress at work, conflict at home, or disappointment in relationships with grace. People with strong character do not need to dominate situations. Their composure naturally shapes outcomes. Their inner strength radiates outward, creating influence without coercion. Consider nature for a moment. A deep-rooted tree does not need to announce its presence. When a storm comes, its branches may shake, but the roots remain still. A mountain does not brag about its height. It simply exists, and in its existence commands awe. Your silence works the same way. The more grounded you become internally, the less you need to prove externally. People sense that groundedness. They respect it even without words. Silence also cultivates patience, which is a hallmark of strong character. In a world addicted to instant reactions and rapid responses, those who can pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully develop an aura of wisdom. They understand that every word spoken carries energy. They know that hasty speech often leads to regret. By holding their tongue, they preserve dignity, both for themselves and for others. There is another layer. Silence fosters observation. When you speak less, you see more. You notice the subtle shifts in people's emotions, the hidden dynamics in relationships, the unspoken intentions in conversations. This awareness allows you to act wisely, to respond consciously rather than impulsively. Over time, people realize that when you do speak, your words carry weight. They are listened to because they are rare, deliberate, and grounded in understanding. I once met a businessman who had the reputation of being unflappable. Clients would test him cold, egos would try to provoke him, competitors would challenge him publicly. And yet, he rarely reacted in anger. Instead, he listened, observed, and responded with calm clarity. His silence was not indifference, it was strategy. It built trust, it built credibility, and most importantly, it built character. A character that attracted people, opportunities, and loyalty naturally. The practice of silence also protects your integrity. When we rush to respond, we risk saying things we don't fully mean, revealing our insecurities, or escalating unnecessary conflicts. Silence gives you time to align your actions with your values. It allows you to respond from principle rather than impulse. Over time, this consistency of behavior becomes your reputation, your identity, and a quiet power that others recognize intuitively. There is also an inner peace that comes with silence. When you are not constantly engaged in arguments, defenses, or explanations, your mind becomes lighter. Your energy is preserved for creation, reflection, and meaningful connection. People with strong character are not always the loudest, they are often the calmest. And this calmness inspires confidence, admiration, and respect in others. Finally, silence teaches humility. It reminds you that not everything needs your voice, and not every thought needs expression. Humility is not self-deprecation, it is awareness. It is knowing the value of your presence without needing constant validation. And when humility combines with wisdom, observation, and restraint, it becomes a powerful, unshakable force. So, when you cultivate silence, you cultivate character. You become like a deep well, calm on the surface, full of wisdom beneath. People are drawn to that depth. Opportunities align with it. Respect naturally follows it. And most importantly, your own inner world becomes stronger, steadier, and more resilient. Remember, silence is not absence. It is presence, not weakness. It is strength, not emptiness. It is the foundation of character that stands firm amid the noise, the chaos, and the storms of life. When you master the art of silence, your character shines quietly, profoundly, and irresistibly. Love, in its truest form, is patient, gentle, and understanding. Yet in today's world, we often confuse love with constant action, constant words, constant validation. We believe that to show we care, we must always speak, always explain, always prove ourselves. But sometimes, the most profound expression of love is silence. Not the absence of care, but the presence of awareness, compassion, and timing. Think about your closest relationships: parents, siblings, partners, or friends. How often have you felt the urge to correct, argue, or assert yourself because you believed you were right? Perhaps you said something sharp in the heat of a disagreement, only to regret it hours or days later. Sometimes, in the desire to win or be heard, we forget that love is not about being right. Love is about connection. Love is about understanding. And sometimes the bridge between two hearts is built not with words but with silence. There is a story I love to share. A young couple had been dating for a few years. One evening they had a disagreement, a minor one, but both were emotional. In the past, either one of them would have argued their point until exhaustion, seeking to win the conversation. But this time the young man paused. He noticed that his partner was upset, and instead of responding defensively, he simply held her hand and remained silent. He didn't need to speak to prove he was right. Over the next hour, she calmed. They didn't argue further. And when they finally spoke, it was not from ego, but from understanding. That silence had become an act of love, a space where connection could flourish. Sometimes people are not ready to hear the truth, no matter how right it is. Timing is everything. You can speak, but if the moment is wrong, the words fall like seeds on concrete. But silence, held with compassion, creates fertile ground. It allows emotions to settle, hearts to open, and understanding to emerge naturally. Love is not always about asserting yourself. Sometimes it is about holding space, listening, and being present without judgment. Silence as love also means choosing relationships over pride. Imagine a parent who scolds a child for making a mistake. The parent could argue endlessly, trying to correct, to teach, to assert authority. But sometimes taking a step back, holding your words and letting the child reflect on their own actions communicates love more deeply than a lecturer could. In those moments, silence is a gift. It respects the other's autonomy and nurtures growth. I remember a spiritual teacher once telling me, "Sometimes silence speaks louder than any advice." Sometimes your restraint protects hearts more than your words ever could. There is a deep wisdom in this. Love is not about controlling others, convincing them, or always being heard. Love is about understanding their readiness, honoring their journey, and knowing when to hold back. Silence becomes an expression of care that words often cannot capture. This principle applies in many areas of life. In friendships, we sometimes try to correct or guide too soon. In workplaces, we sometimes intervene in conflicts unnecessarily. In families, we sometimes insist on asserting our perspective. But when we pause, observe, and act with discretion, we create a powerful space where relationships grow stronger. Silence, in these cases, is not neglect, it is mindfulness. It is choosing to nurture rather than dominate the emotional ecosystem around you. Silence as love also teaches humility. It reminds us that we do not always have to be right. It reminds us that our need to assert ourselves is less important than the emotional well-being of someone we care about. It asks us to consider what is more valuable, proving our point or preserving the heart. This is where character, wisdom, and love intersect. Those who master this form of silence understand the subtle alchemy of relationships. They know that presence and compassion often achieve what words cannot. And here is the most profound secret. When silence is infused with love, it transforms both the giver and the receiver. For the one holding silence, it cultivates patience, empathy, and self-control. For the one receiving it, it fosters respect, reflection, and trust. It is a mutual, unspoken exchange that deepens connection more than any argument or lecture ever could. So, when you feel the urge to speak, argue, or correct someone you care about, pause. Ask yourself, will my words build the connection, or will my silence? Sometimes the greatest act of love is restraint. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is space. Sometimes being quiet says more than 1,000 explanations. True love is aware. True love is present. True love is sometimes silent. And in those moments, hearts are healed, relationships are strengthened, and understanding blossoms in ways that words alone could never achieve. When practiced consciously, silence becomes an expression of care, patience, and wisdom. It is a subtle power, a deep strength, and a quiet form of love that transforms lives, preserves peace, and nurtures connection at its deepest level. The greatest power of silence is not external, it begins within. It is not merely about staying quiet in a conversation, holding your tongue in an argument, or refraining from unnecessary words. True silence is cultivated internally. It is the stillness of the mind, the calm of the heart, and the clarity of the soul. And when you nurture this inner silence, everything in your external life begins to shift. Your relationships, your decisions, your presence, and even your destiny are touched by it. Most people live in constant mental noise. Thoughts chase thoughts, memories replay endlessly, anxieties for the future tug at the present. In this chaos, every external challenge feels magnified. A minor disagreement feels like a storm. A small criticism feels like a blow. Life feels heavy and the mind restless. But the person who cultivates inner silence has discovered a secret. When the mind is still, the world outside loses its power to disturb you. I remember meeting a monk who lived simply in a small village. When asked why he spent hours every day in quiet meditation, he said something remarkable. The world is no easy. If I do not create silence inside myself, the noise of life will consume me. But when I am quiet within, I can face any challenge without losing peace. At first, I thought he was talking about spiritual matters only, but over time, I realized his principle applies to every aspect of life: work, relationships, decisions, and even conflict. Inner silence is the source of real strength. Inner silence allows you to respond rather than react. When someone provokes you, you do not need to defend or explain immediately. When a challenge arises, you do not need to panic or overcompensate. Your decisions become deliberate, not impulsive. Your words become measured, not reactive. Your actions become purposeful, not hasty. And this is the essence of true power: to act from calmness, clarity, and confidence, rather than from agitation, ego, or fear. There is a story I love about a woman managing a chaotic household. Every day, noise, demands, and stress surrounded her. She could have reacted angrily or become resentful. Instead, she developed a small ritual: 10 minutes of quiet reflection each morning, focusing on gratitude and stillness. Over time, her responses to challenges transformed. Her children felt her calm, her spouse noticed her patience, her work improved. That brief silence each day became her fortress, allowing her to navigate life with strength and grace. Inner silence also fosters clarity. When the mind is constantly cluttered with opinions, fears, and impulses, decisions become muddled, but in stillness, insight arises naturally. Solutions become apparent. Priorities become clear. You begin to distinguish between what truly matters and what is merely distract. Ion. Like a lake that settles after a storm, your mind reflects clearly when undisturbed. In that clarity, power emerges. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to master yourself. Another profound effect of inner silence is resilience. Life is unpredictable. Challenges, disappointments, and failures are inevitable. But the person who has cultivated internal stillness experiences difficulty differently. They feel the pain, but it does not consume them. They encounter setbacks, but they do not lose direction. They face criticism, but their self-worth is rooted internally, not dependent on approval or praise. Silence becomes the anchor that allows them to withstand storms while others are tossed about. Inner silence also nurtures self-awareness. When you spend time in stillness, you begin to notice patterns in your thoughts, reactions, and emotions. You become aware of your triggers, your fears, and your attachments. And with awareness comes choice. You are no longer at the mercy of impulses or external provocations. You respond with wisdom rather than habit, and in that wisdom, your external life becomes more harmonious and powerful. The final gift of inner silence is presence. People are naturally drawn to calm, centered individuals. When you are quiet within, your presence itself communicates confidence, trustworthiness, and gravitas. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to dominate a conversation. Others sense your groundedness, and respect, influence, and admiration follow naturally. This is the hidden strength that words alone can never create. The power of a soul that is calm, strong, and centered. So what does it mean to cultivate inner still? Hence, it can be meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply mindful reflection. It is creating space within yourself where thoughts, emotions, and energy can settle. It is a daily practice of observing the mind, noticing impulses without acting immediately, and returning repeatedly to stillness. Like any skill, it strengthens over time. The more you practice, the more your inner silence becomes a natural part of your character. Remember this: when your mind is noisy, the world outside can easily disturb you. But when your mind is still, you are untouchable. You no longer seek validation, control, or victory externally. Your strength flows from within. Decisions become clearer, words more powerful, relationships more meaningful, and life more purposeful. Inner silence transforms external chaos into personal harmony. And here is the ultimate truth: those who have mastered inner silence rarely need to win arguments, prove themselves, or assert control. They have already won themselves. And once you have won yourself, no one can shake your peace, no one can challenge your dignity, and no one can diminish your power. True strength is quiet, true power is still, true mastery comes from within. Inner silence is the foundation, outer strength is its natural expression. And when you cultivate this silence, you discover the most transformative truth of life. The calmer you are inside, the stronger you become in the world. My dear friends, life will always be noisy, people will always challenge you, circumstances will always test you, and your own mind will always pull you in 1,000 directions. But the true secret to navigating this life with grace, power, and peace does not lie in speaking louder, arguing harder, or proving yourself. It lies in mastering the quiet within. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. It allows you to control your emotions, observe without reaction, listen with your heart, choose your battles wisely, and cultivate a character so strong that the world cannot shake it. Silence is love when used with care. Silence is inner power when practiced with discipline. And most importantly, silence reconnects you to the divine rhythm of life, to the eternal presence that guides, protects, and nurtures every step of your journey. When you practice this silence, you begin to see that life's true victories are not in arguments won or opinions imposed. They are in peace maintained, relationships preserved, hearts healed, and souls elevated. And when your inner world is calm and centered, faith naturally flourishes. You trust the timing of life. You trust the goodness of people. You trust God's guidance, even when the world seems chaotic. So here is the timeless truth I want you to carry with you. When you cultivate silence within, God speaks louder. When you choose peace over pride, love over ego, and faith over fear, every challenge becomes an opportunity, every conflict becomes a teacher, and every day becomes a blessing. Do not just hear these words, live them, practice them. Let your silence become your strength, your listening become your wisdom, your restraint become your power, and your faith become your guide. Remember, true victory is not having the last word. True victory is having the last piece. True success is not in being louder than the world. It is in being still and letting life and God work through you. Step into the world with calmness. Speak with purpose. Love without conditions, and live with a faith so strong that no argument, no challenge, no noise can ever disturb your inner peace. Because when silence becomes your strength and faith becomes your guide, nothing can ever defeat you.